Hi, welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble from Chris Gamble's Analog Life.
How you doing, Chris?
Pretty good, Dave.
You got your computer working there. You've got your hamster working overtime.
Yeah, the hamster
driving
is
your
spinning
computer. It's
in the wheel.
It's an old dinosaur, is it? It's pedal powered.
Yeah. This thing was a killer back in its day. I mean, it's from 2001 though. I mean,
oh, okay.
So it's still kicking, but it had the 1.7 gigahertz processor at the time. That was a big deal.
That's screaming. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many generations is that? How many generation? What's the average generation on a computer now? Is it 9 months or is it still 18 months or whatever?
I think they still say it's 18 months, but I don't know. That gets kind of squeezed anyways.
Yeah, no, I think the average computer turns over I think it's less than 9 months or something. Some new processor or something comes out, isn't it?
I don't know. It does, but I think
the
the 18 months is the total amount of technology turnover. It has to double every 18 months for the Moore's law. But I don't know. Those laws are so, it's just they say it after the fact too. I mean, Gordon Moore, nothing against. Yeah, well, smart dude.
Moore's law is just the amount of silicon per in the same area for the same price or something like that. Whereas,
right, yeah,
you can come up with new architecture technology and stuff like that. Actually ahead of that schedule, so I guess you can churn out processors twice as quick as Moore's law or something.
Right, you start parallelizing and stuff. That helps out a lot.
I stopped keeping up with processor technology, PC processor technology in about 1990 or something like that. So that's about the last time I tried to keep up with it.
Yeah, every time I look at a computer store or something like that, I always look at it and I'm like, who needs this stuff? They're talking about 6-core processors and blah, blah, blah.
I know.
So, unless you're playing video games. You need a liquid cooling just to keep it at a reasonable temperature.
Yeah, those cooling towers and they light up blue and all that sort of shit.
Yeah, I mean, they're cool, but I'm not paying $3,000 for that stuff. I have a radio show to record,
Yeah. Well, my brand new notebook, here I am doing video processing, high-def video processing, and I bought almost the cheapest notebook that would do the job. I only paid $800 for my brand new notebook a couple of months ago. So
that's pretty good, yeah.
It's, so that's pretty cheap. So there's people out there paying, $2,000 or $3,000 for the same thing. Jesus.
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, it might be 50% faster in processing video, but God.
Yeah. What do you got better to do,
anyway.
Right? I mean, you just go make another video while the first one's processing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not a problem.
That's the way to do it.
Anyway, we've got a shitload of stuff today.
We do. A veritable shitload.
Yes, a crap load, if you want to put it more politely. But I don't think we're going to get through it all. So where do you want to start?
Shoutouts. Shoutouts always, yeah.
Oh, go for it.
So Bill from Solder Smoke, he's back in the U.S. and he is recording again. He fired up his ham shack. He's out in the shack recording and it's pretty good. I don't know. A lot of it's kind of like the hams talking to each other. Oh hey, I was on this wavelength, that wavelength. But there's some really good stuff.
This fox hunting, that fox hunting.
Yeah. I mean, it's really cool. I mean,
I've got a new Yagi antenna. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. Yeah. I don't. Yeah, that stuff it gets out there pretty fast. But I think the ham and the hobbyist, the maker kind of stuff is going to collide very soon. I know Jason, one of the guys we talked about on here before, he's actually making a ham kit for hobbyist kind of stuff, and that should be cool. I don't know. I think
awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of space to grow in the RF region. There's a lot of people use Zigbee chips with Arduinos and stuff like that, but there's a lot of stuff you can make on your own house that's just as good or better. So.
Right. I know there's been a lot of talk in recent years about the government taking back all of this community RF channel space.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
So like back in the 70s, the hams had all this, all this RF, all this space available, all these channels available, and the government's slowly taking it back. Oh, you're just one guy in a shed. You don't need that anymore, It's not important. So, we need it back for our, our drones and our
well, it is getting pretty crowded
and satellites
up there.
And God knows what. Yeah.
It really, it is especially the common bands like the 2.4 gigahertz and all those.
2.4 gig is flooded. Everything's 2.4 bloody gig. It's crazy.
I know it must be something with the antenna length that's really good about that, or something. I know it's not a huge antenna, but yeah, it's going to be a bigger deal.
The only other thing up there is the microwave ovens. So really, they're very contained. So I guess I don't know. Maybe it's why they chose 2.4, because the microwave oven's 2.45.
Oh,
so,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's not much difference between frying your brains out and talking on your Bluetooth.
Well, power levels is the difference, I think, Dave.
Right. Yes, power levels too. I guess 2.4 it'd probably warm up your water molecules too, I guess.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it's interesting to see. I don't know how it is in Australia, but the FCC is pretty stringent, and there's no like global body for that either. So
no, there's not, and that's a lot of RF modules and stuff like that. All these Zigbee, a lot of them have to be a different channel to be sold here, and you've got to get different certification here. So if you're a manufacturer of RF modules, it's a pain in the ass selling worldwide. It's just
you just think about everybody coming online. I mean, in the more commercial side of things, but you just think about that from a capacity standpoint. You know, with all the people wanting to have smartphones and wanting to be on the internet, it's just like such a fire hose of data. It's just like unfathomable the kind of stuff they're going to need for that. But at the same time, there's good stuff that comes out of it in the electronics industry too, because that's a lot of business.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We got another shout out.
Yeah, another shout out. I found another. Well, I didn't find it. I subscribed to the feed for do-it-yourself drones, and there's another one that talks about it's All Things That Fly. That's the name of it, allthingsthatfly.com. And so I think Chris Anderson was on there, and so they highlighted that podcast. It's been going for a lot longer, but it's they talk a lot about more of the application side of things, like, oh, this person's flying there, this person's flying there, or doing all these different types of applications, tricopters, quadcopters.
Right.
But also they do some electronics too. So, thought people listening here, if they've caught the podcast bug, they might want to go over there and listen too. So, I don't know.
Absolutely.
I think once people start listening, I've heard people say that they run out of ours to listen to because we're only doing it once a week, and
we're only doing it once a week, and you have to drive to work 5 times a week. Because I know so many people are actually they're in their car right now.
Yeah.
Actually,
watch the road, guys. Jeez, you almost hit someone.
Look out!
We're not talking to you right now. We recorded a while ago. Don't worry. We're in your radio. We live here with the hamsters.
Yes. Bet you got to find 4 other shows to listen to every week. So it's not that. All the shows out there. You just got to look around.
Yeah, maybe we can get like a list going or something. The Amp Hour approved alternate podcast or something.
Right.
There are some good ones though, so it's worth listening to. And people they ask if if we're threatened or anything like that, but it's like why be threatened when there's just more stuff to listen to? There's more good stuff out there. So that's the important thing. So if you know of any, if you're listening right now and you know of any, you're listening to some in the car, be sure to let us know on our website. We'll talk about it on here and let others know too.
Yep. And the only time we're going to be concerned is if somebody starts doing an Australian and American dueling accents and talking about, well, sometimes electronics.
Well, they did. Did you see that email from John from Arizona? So one of our regular listeners, John, he emailed us about that. It's like AussieGeek.net or something like that, or...
Oh yes, Aussie Geeks or something. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but they talk about PCs and the latest video cards and.
But
shit
I'm just
like
saying
that,
they got the Aussie and the North American, I think, because the guy's from Canada, but still.
Yeah, near enough.
There goes our shtick. It's done. It's over. We've lost all credibility.
Who was first? Us or them?
They were way longer.
Jeez,
sorry, man.
A bunch of bloody copycats we are. Well, what can we do?
Well, we can talk about other stuff. We can rant.
Well, okay. Well, rants. Well, I'll just go up to the next on the list because I am right.
You are right.
As usual, I am right. I am right, damn it. And I'm going to shove it down people's throats. Everyone, this is the last thing I'll say on this, okay? Is it open source hardware or open hardware? Okay, now... Everyone said I was completely wrong. It's not open source hardware, and I say
You're
bullshit.
So wrong.
And I am right, and I can prove it. Because if you think it's called open hardware, then you go and try and produce something called open hardware and try and find a license called open hardware? I bet you can't, because the official license, and here it is, shove it, the official license, I'm rubbing this in, the official license is called open source hardware license. Okay, so if you want to produce the hardware, you can call it open hardware, but you've got to use the license called open source hardware. So there you go.
You know
Take that. So, yeah, I don't complain about people who call it open source hardware, because that's what the license is called. Okay, kiddies? Last thing I want to say about that.
End of issue right there. It's no more ever.
Or as the Woz would say, bitches. Doesn't she? Is that what she
I don't know.
Says bitches.
I've only seen a couple of
video podcast that we talked about last week or something. Anyway. So there you go. No.
Yeah. She was on the Ask an Engineer last Saturday.
That's right. I saw that. How did that go? I didn't watch it.
Oh, I
thought it was Sunday. Is it Saturday night? It's
Saturday
shot.
Night here, so 10 p.m. here would be...
Right, which is 2 p.m. Sunday afternoon here. Right, okay, that's why I keep missing it.
Is it?
For some reason, I keep thinking it's Sunday night. Anyway.
Oh,
right.
yeah. Okay, yeah. Oh, man, time stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good, though. I mean, they were talking about that, and, they were talking about the Kinect stuff, and it was interesting. There's some good questions about that stuff. But
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
What else
More
were we going
rants.
to talk
Come
about?
on, let's
More
just
rants.
go through the rants.
Let's get them all out, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I've been working on some power supply stuff. And do you ever use Webench at all?
I've tried to use it a few times. I'm not a big fan of it. No.
I wasn't.
It can do novel stuff, but I only use it if I have to.
I think going in from a perspective of thinking it's going to be like a simulator or show you any kind of useful behavior, that's not going to be the case. But it's more of it's almost like just like an online calculator where they already have all the formulas in the back end. You can go in the data sheet and see them. If the sense voltage across the sense resistor has to be like 1.24 volts, and you put in your top level requirements, and then it kind of pushes them all down. And there's a lot of stuff out there that'll do that kind of thing, but this is just kind of real Ajaxy and pretty and also very slow.
Ajaxy? That's a geek term, right? For
yeah,
one of
it
those
is.
online Java-y type.
I just say Ajax whenever it's pretty. Yeah, when it's pretty and web-based,
okay.
Yeah.
Got
So
it.
that's what, and maybe it's, I don't know, who cares? It might be Flash-based, but...
Anyway, it's web-based. You go on and you put in all your info on the web. You don't have to download a program, and it...
Right. Contrast it with like a LT Spice kind of thing, where you can still see all their parts, but you have to download the simulator and pull it in, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And the nice thing about it, though, is it sets up a BOM for you. So, you have a switcher circuit, and the one I was looking at was a switcher circuit, and it's got maybe 15 different resistors to set different parameters that maybe you wanted to just set externally. Well, this is all really great. I really like that part of it, and I like that it's decently simple up to that point. But then you get this BOM, right? And basically they do the bait and switch. So they pop out a thing that says, okay, your switcher with the chip itself, the inductor, the capacitors, the huge ass diode, all those things, that's going to be $6. Okay, great, awesome. And then you go look at them and you go over to DigiKey. First off, you can't find them, obviously, right?
Right.
No one expected.
They're not in stock.
Yeah, no one expected that to happen, right?
No.
But the thing that really kind of gets me is they quote, like, they must be 100,000 piece pricing or something like that, because I look at them and it's like an inductor for 30 cents, and this is like a nice shielded inductor and everything, and I'm like, I couldn't steal one for 30 cents, so it's this really useful tool. I get up to the end and then I'm like, this thing's lying to me. I mean, I know it's not actually, but I'm not even sure the people that could buy 100,000 parts and get these actual prices that they would be using this tool in the first place. Yeah. So
it's just solely based on high volume pricing. Well,
yeah, it's just in their database.
I was doing last night. All the manufacturers do this, right?
Yeah,
it doesn't matter who they are. And I was on Atmel and the microchip sites last night looking for a suitable microcontroller that had a shitload of PWM modules in it, and I was sorting by the number of PWMs, and I was looking down for the price because it's got to be low cost too, of course.
Yeah.
And and I think it was Microchip were quoting in their parametric search. They were quoting 5K price. So
reasonable-ish.
It's like, yeah, okay, it's $2 at 5,000, but how much is it at 1,000 or 500 or something like that? So it's a good indicative pricing, but it's just really quite annoying.
If someone was listening, and I don't think they are, but if someone was listening and they wanted a suggestion, they should have a little prototype checkbox, because there's going to be small.
Yeah.
And then they could even do it by percentage. They could just double the price or triple the price. I don't care what it is. I just want to see that it's some more reasonable price, so that when I go look at it, because that there's different vendors that'll do different things. So if I go to National and I say, okay, I want a really high quality inductor, well, maybe the price doesn't change that much from the 1K price to the 10K price. But if I want a cheap, not so great inductor, maybe the price changes a ton from the 1K price, or the one part price, to the 10K price. Same kind of thing. So if they had some kind of checkbox or any other kind of way to say, no, this is a prototype, just show me any bit of reality and I'll be happy. So that's kind of the message on that one. I want just a taste of reality, because I did not get it.
Right. Yeah, well, I had the same thing last night, and it happens all the time, and I'm sick of it too. So, get off your asses, manufacturers. But I guess, who do you cater? I mean, it's good to have both. Yeah. But I guess if you're only going to cater for one, which one are you going to cater for? The high volume or the
the ones
low
that give
volume?
you all the money?
Right. Exactly. So, I'm surprised that they're even, doing a 1K pricing, but that's sort of an industry standard as the 1K price. So,
right.
Yeah, but the Microchip one was still 5K. So they're creeping up there. They're sort of they're bucking that industry trend of the 1K pricing standard. So
yeah, I would be interested to see like the percentage of so say like a Microchip, right? They might have 100,000 customers, right? But probably, it's like a power law kind of thing where only the top 1% is spending the most money. And so obviously that would be the crowd they're catering to in this kind of situation. But I wonder, do they have to still do all, like Maxim kind of ran into that problem where they would only, a couple of years back, where they would only supply to the really big people, and then they kind of ignored the second tier customers. And I wonder, like, what's the real motivation there? Are they just kind of hoping, or the people that do cater to the lower end people, are they just hoping that they'll get bigger someday? I don't know.
That's the idea.
I guess
a lot of
that's
the big
the only thing you
manufacturers
can do.
don't care, but some of them. But that's the idea. Yeah,
It's just
if you
kinda
get
like
them
throwing
while
us
they're
a bone.
small and lock them in, and
Yeah.
That's
I wanted
what
to
the
ask
smart
you.
companies do anyway. Yeah, ask away.
I wanted to ask you about your DFM video, because I really like that. I was listening to that today. Yeah,
Cool.
I was actually listening to it instead of watching it. I hope that's okay. I knew what you were showing.
That's right. You've got a question about. Shoot.
Yeah. So you were talking about buying reels of resistors in that video, right?
Yep.
And how people don't want to buy 5,000 or whatever. But wasn't that sometimes an option where you can go to a contract manufacturer and just say, I need 200 1K resistors, and then they already have the reels there, and you just buy them directly from them? Because I don't think you mentioned that in the video.
You can, yeah. A lot of the contract assemblers, the assembly houses, will have stock of all your common things. So they'll have your 1K resistor in, all the 08, 05, 06, 03, 04, 02, etc., and they'll have all the common values and stuff like that. So
that seems
but
like
you've
a good
got to be
option.
careful with that, because it's a good option. But you've got to be careful that it's not a part which you need a specific spec for. So they'll just use some generic part, and you've just got to be careful. It's got some different temp co or something like that, so, or some different power rating to some other one. So
did we talk about that
got
last
to be careful.
week? That sounds really familiar. I'm not sure if I talked about that with you or someone else, or I saw it written somewhere.
I can't remember. God,
it's getting to the point where I can't even remember these things.
Yeah.
I'm getting
Hey,
old, man.
welcome to my world.
I know, right?
There you go. Once it gets over episode 10, it all starts becoming a blur.
I thought you meant once you get over like 25, like the age.
And once you get over the age of 25,
It's all downhill from here.
It's all downhill.
Yeah.
Yep. Everything starts
I'm a bit over
deteriorating.
25.
Young with
It's all
the
over.
snapper.
Yeah.
And you were talking about getting the reels directly from the manufacturer too, weren't you?
Well,
think
no,
you
I was
wrote in
saying getting those directly from the contract manufacturer, not the.
Oh, the contract manufacturer,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh, yes, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
And
getting
of
them from
course-
the. Yeah.
Yeah, you can buy them directly from the manufacturer, and
Right.
that's part of the process of doing your kit. Actually, you know, where do you buy your parts from is another
Right.
interesting aspect. Well, you know, if you've ever tried to actually do a project kit and actually kit up for it, then you'll know how much of a pain in the ass it is to buy from different suppliers. And you want to, you know, you almost design your product around the parts that you can get from one supplier. Either DigiKey's your favourite, or Mouse is your favourite, or Element 14's your favourite. And you design around one supplier if you can, because then you just have to do one purchase order and that's it. And all your parts come in. You don't have to order things from 10 different places and, you know, have different lead times and stocks and
See, now I
track
thought you were
different
talking
things.
about buying them directly from like a National or a
You can. Well,
LT.
that's what I'm talking about, buying them directly from the manufacturer. You might be able to save, you know, 5 cents per chip or something. You know, if your chip's $5, you might be able to save 5 cents buying it directly from the manufacturer.
Right, but then you have
instead
to
of buying
pay
it from
cash, don't
DigiKey
you?
or Mouser. But well, yeah, a lot of them don't have online stores, or you've got to go, especially here in Australia, you've got to go through the local reps, the local distributors. They won't ship directly from the US. You know, if it's National in the US, they won't ship directly here. You've got to buy it through, you know, the local rep. And it's just,
That's a mess.
It's too much hassle. Yeah, and then they want you to set up an account. They won't, you know, take
Let
credit
us mail
cards
stuff
or
to you.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's something I never knew about. Like, but until I like kind of started seeing business stuff, and I never really knew about like net 30 payment and all that other stuff. Because you never think about that. You think, oh, okay, I need parts. I'm going to go pay for parts. But actually, a lot of times they'll credit you for 30 days or whatever, and then you could, once somehow you have to get to that point where you say, yeah, I'm legit enough that I am going to pay you. But then the terms are like net 30, where you can wait 30 days and pay at some point within those 30 days. I always thought that was kind of interesting, because that's kind of a gamble on the part of the manufacturer. But
well, it is, and actually, interestingly, that's how Steve Jobs started out with their first Apple computers. They actually he found out, part of the history of that is he found out, like, they didn't have any money. Steve Wozniak sold his HP calculator and Jobs sold his van or something, and they put the money together, but they still didn't have enough to buy all the parts to manufacture their 200 or 300 Apple I computers.
Yeah.
So, but Steve Jobs figured out that you could get net 30 days, and that somebody, so they had to assemble those machines in 30 days and get them. So they had to buy the parts, they had 30 days to pay for them, but they didn't have the money to pay for them, so they had to assemble them in 30 days, ship them to the computer store, get them to pay them so that they could, and they made it just in time. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the early history of Apple. Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
Otherwise, if he didn't get that 30 days net, then he wouldn't have been able to do the first couple hundred computers, and they probably would have gone under or something. So
there was a interesting thing. Nathan Seidel from Sparkfun, the one of the other, like Adafruit and Sparkfun, they're like and
he's the founder, isn't he, or something?
He's the founder. He was apparently he just did a talk at Google the other day, and it was on. They recorded it. But he was talking about how he started, and it's kind of sounds not quite as similar, but
right.
He basically was working out of his dorm room, working out of the basement, and I'll try and post a link to it, because it was actually,
I definitely want to listen to that.
Yeah, and he was talking about how he was just scraping together money too. He put his first boards together using a $40 hot plate. I think that's kind of like his. That's his humble beginning story, and but it's really impressive too, because. He just kind of figured it all out. He just kind of went through the process and figured it out. And one of the things that kind of helped him through was just persistence. I mean,
absolutely. You've got to have a shitload of it when you're
yes, definitely,
when you're doing your own projects and selling your own kits and stuff like that. But
I mean, he's an EE by training, but I mean, you don't learn the business stuff in school, and even if you did, you got to have money from somewhere. So he just bootstrapped himself, and I think he's doing well because of it. So many.
Well, they should turn over $10 million a year at the moment.
Yeah, and they got like
but
80
yeah,
employees.
I can remember back when I was a teenager. I was buying parts and selling kits and stuff like that, and I had to buy a fax machine because back then the only way to send through purchase orders was by fax. And so you would have to type up an official purchase order. So here I am. I'm 15 and I'm typing up a purchase order and faxing it through to these suppliers, and they're thinking that I'm some big business, and I didn't even have a registered business name.
Yeah,
I just had a made-up name, and and
that's awesome.
And it was
Dave, do you have any pictures of 15-year-old Dave? I think everyone would enjoy that.
Oh, I don't know. Very few, because back then digital cameras
right.
around.
Yeah, you had to scan it in or something.
Just I've probably got a couple of old ones.
If you have it, I think that would go. That would go over very funnily on your forum and on here. I think if you could find one, everyone would appreciate it. I think.
Right.
So, what'd you call yourself back then? That's interesting that you did that.
Oh, Advanced R&D Solutions. Tronaut Technology was an early. Tronaut Software was another one. There's
yada
lots
yada.
Of history
I'm a real
behind
company.
So I started out selling software, and then I got into kits and bits and pieces, and
yeah.
Ah, dearity.
Even just today, I was talking to some people who found this circuit they really liked, and they wanted to buy like a kit of it. This nice little data sheet for it, and they were like looking around and they couldn't find it anywhere. And I'm like, this is just a guy sitting in his basement somewhere. He's made 10 of them, and he disappeared. I could not find anything about it anymore. Yeah, and it really did seem like a great idea, but he was gone now. So I guess
to a lot.
Yeah, much like you, he's a shadow. Yeah.
Just vanished from the face of and their webpage is still there, but they're uncontactable.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I know.
They need to forward some addresses or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that leads on to stuff. People see your stuff and you don't know who's going to see it, and they think, oh, that's cool, and that can lead on to something else. It can lead on to a job or anything. So, kiddies, if you're out there and you've got an abandoned web page from 10, 15 years ago, at least put a current email address on it.
Yeah.
So...
And make sure you didn't say anything too stupid back then, too. Right. I go back and look at some of my old posts, and I'm like,
so
that's not staying there. That's going away.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, Internet. That history is gone.
Tell me about
locally.
it. I'm heavily researchable on the Internet.
Yeah,
more so than almost anyone I know. So,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Some
occupational
stuff is
hazard,
embarrassing.
Dave.
Yeah, I know. I don't care. You've just got to go, what the hell.
Speaking of hard to reach, I was talking with Jeff from Mighty Home on Twitter today, and we were bitching about the mailings you get from the. Are you an IEEE member? I don't remember if you said you were. Yes,
I am.
Do you in Australia? Do you get like credit card offers and insurance offers and all that other stuff?
I think I did get it once and it came via the IEEE.
Yeah.
I
around
think.
here,
yeah.
I get junk mail nonstop from them, and it seems like a lot of other people do too. So Jeff figured out if you call them and you just say, "Look, I want to be taken off your third-party list," they'll do it.
Yep.
So many thanks to Jeff, because that's going to save probably 1,000 trees this year if everybody did that. It's a lot of crap. And it's all like it's all the same insurance offers.
Oh yeah, I know. I hate these companies who opt you in.
Yeah.
Right? You automatically opt in, because that's the law here in Australia. I don't know what it's like in the US, right? There was this big to-do that, the government's bringing in these spamming laws, okay? And, great, okay, no one's going to get spammed anymore. No, the law says that you're allowed to opt somebody in without their permission, as long as you provide the link in the spam email to opt out, then it's fine. It's like, what sort of shit is that?
I know.
Got to be kidding me.
And then sometimes the link doesn't work. It's horrible.
Yeah, it gets, or it's, and you don't, and you're hesitant to click on that link because it's some bizarre link that goes to God knows where, you think it's some phishing website or something, and and so you just delete or put in your filter, and it makes me angry. Anyway, stupid bloody laws.
Yeah. Oh well.
God.
So let's see.
What do we got?
I guess we got one more rant. I guess if you wanna let loose on that, the community members and
community members. Yeah, here we go. This has been boiling for a long time, and I've mentioned it before, and I'm sick of it. But on Twitter, it was Design Spark, I think it was, and they tweeted that, we're about to get our 20,000th community member, I think it was. Who's going to be our 20,000th community member? Can't even say it.
Yeah.
20,000th. And, and that just, it bugs me. Because, they might have had 20,000 people sign up, but the number of active community members on there is not 20,000, it's freaking 200, okay?
Yeah. Yep.
You idiots. It's,
the diminishing blog law.
Jones's diminishing blog law. It's more than an order of magnitude. It's several orders below what they claim. And the same thing with Element 14. They claim 30,000 or something, and give me a break. Come on, people. And I've got the facts to back this up. Like my video. Okay, here's an example. I posted a couple of my videos onto the Element 14 site because you might know I'm in this month's magazine and Element 14 magazine and stuff like that. Yeah, and I go and have a look. And my video, it tells me, has been viewed 7,000 or 8,000 times or something. Woohoo! Fantastic on Element 14. Nah, sorry. It's been viewed, I think it's 12,000 times total, and I know for a fact that, more than 11,000 of those came from YouTube and my own site. They didn't come from Element 14, so I don't know where they got the 7,000 from. So their numbers are...
it's
they're
fuzzy
pie
math.
in the sky.
Fuzzy
they
math.
are.
Yeah.
They're fuzzy math. So
it's too bad.
don't believe it all. So you post something on those sites and you go, "Ooh, 1,000 people have viewed it." No, it's 50 actually. Sorry to tell you.
Right, or every time someone reloads the page, they double count it, or
and that leads into advertising, but I won't go into that. And,
right. Yeah, we beat that horse.
It ticks me off.
Yeah.
So I'd love it if my video got 7,000 extra views. That'd be fantastic, but no. Anyway, rant
Someday,
over.
Dave. Yep. Okay. /rant.
This is another. It's kind of a rant, actually. It's global commerce.
Okay.
I know this isn't electronic. It's kind of related to my blog, though, right? Because as you know, I get an Amazon. I encourage people to buy through Amazon so that I get a 6% cut through Amazon, and I've been getting a fair bit of money through that. So thanks everyone for buying through Amazon. It's great, but they supposedly pay you by funds transferred directly into your bank account at the end of the month or whatever. And so I'm waiting for my money to come through. I can see it in my account on the Amazon site, and it never comes through. And they're going, we tried to pay you and it didn't work. Please check your international account settings and all that sort of stuff. So I'm checking it. I try different accounts. Still doesn't work. I finally found some fine print somewhere that says people outside the US are not allowed to get electronic fund transfer. You have to be paid by check. You've got to be shitting me. And their excuse is that it costs too much for international bank transfer. That's bullshit. And B, if it does, just pass it on. I'm happy to pay $30 for the convenience of... having electronic funds transferred. To cash an international check here is a pain in the arse. You've got to wait. You've got to physically walk into a bank and line up.
Ew.
And then you've got to, you've got to fill out a form because it's an international one. And then it takes a month. And then they charge you $30 anyway. And, it's just... Yeah. And if you don't do it in time, if the check comes by surface mail and takes too long to get here, it's already expired by the time you go to cash it. So, it's like... You got to be kidding me. Come on, Amazon.
I don't think it's just Amazon, though, personally.
No,
I think...
there are other companies that have figured it out, that know that you can do international bank transfer. There's some political or some other reason Amazon, or arrogance or something else, that Amazon don't want to do international thing. And here's more arrogance. Get this. Maybe you can, being from the US, you can figure this out. As you know, I'm part of the associate program for Amazon, and you're allowed to be an associate anywhere except Colorado, North Carolina, or Rhode Island. How does that work?
You're asking me about state law,
I don't know.
Dave?
You're a US. Come on, you must know this. Is there some stupid state law that prevents you being an associate in Colorado?
Just today, Dave, I was saying I am an expert of all states' local laws. It was weird.
You must
I was just
know
saying.
this. Come on, you're American.
I was just saying this today. You know, Americans are so smart; they know everything about every state and every minute law. My guess would be.
It's always.
My guess would be that there's probably they had enough, like, you know, vote by or make money by the mail kind of fraud, and then they wrote some overarching law.
Some state law or something that. Yeah, but that must piss off people in those states. That's ridiculous. You know, you're in the US and you can't be an Amazon associate, which means that you can't, sell an ebook on Kindle. You can't do anything. You can't participate in the advertising. You can't do a damn thing with Amazon in those states. That's insane.
Maybe they just hate Coloradians and North Carolinians.
And Rhode Islanders.
Rhode Islanders.
Rhode Islanders, yes, of course. My apologies to all Rhode Islanders out there. San Diegans, so they're not called Friskans.
I don't know.
No, I think that's frowned upon. Yeah, I'd probably get lynched. Oh, dear. Anyway, that was supposed to be a discussion point, but it was more of a rant. So anyway, I'm pissed off at that. So not a happy little camp. I'll eventually get my money, but
piss and vinegar today, aren't we?
Oh, yeah, I know. Oh, we better get on to something decent.
Yeah, how about some more international stuff? That EE job listing I saw. So I watch Google alerts for like electrical engineering stuff, right?
Because so do I. It's fun. Yeah, it's great.
There's some great stuff in there. That's actually how I found out about. Actually, I should talk about that here. I mentioned it on Twitter, but there's a movie coming out about an electrical engineer, and it's done by Disney.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. It's like about an inventor or something like that. But like the guys that are directing are actually going to be really good. They're like really good directors and everything too. So I'll post a link to that. That's actually how I found that. But then usually I see these ridiculous job postings, right? So it just comes through anytime electrical engineer pops up on Google, they send a summary to me every day. Yep. And so I saw one it said electrical engineer, Mandarin speaking only. So, it makes sense, right? There's a lot of electrical engineers in China, right? But so I go to look, where's this job? It's in Oman. Of course it would be, right? Why wouldn't they need Mandarin-speaking electrical engineers in the Middle East? I mean, that makes tons of sense. So, if you happen to speak Mandarin and you want a suntan, we'll post the link and you can check it out because... I don't know.
And you want to get involved in terrorism. Isn't Oman the new terrorist hotspot? Is that where those recent plane baggage bombs came from?
That was Yemen. Yemen, Dave.
Yemen. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Omanians. My apologies.
Man, I can't believe you said that.
Oh,
sorry.
Gosh darn it. I know exactly why they need Mandarin speaking, because it's a Mandarin client. They own some resource or something over there, and they're digging it up. And I'm sure, just like China own half of Australia's farms and everything. That's a big deal here at the moment. Everyone overseas is buying up Australian farms and God knows, and mines and stuff like that because they've got to feed their people and power their nuclear power reactors and stuff like that. So they just buy up all the resources here, and I'm sure they're doing the same in Oman as well. So that's why you have to speak Mandarin in Oman, because
and Africa,
half of it's probably owned by Africa.
Big build out in Africa too. Like it's kind of like Chinese imperialism quasi. I don't want to speak too far to that, but I mean that's the best thing that's the best explanation I can get of it. So,
Right.
More power to them. I mean, if you look at it, they're bringing like tons of like investment and stuff like that. But basically, it's China making other people into the new China. So what goes around comes around, and they're doing really well. I mean, everything I see about China continually, it impresses me, it scares me, and we'll see what happens. I don't know.
Don't worry about it. Their one-child policy will be their undoing, apparently. So that's all the latest rage going around. Yeah, they're saying India will take over because because they have a young population and China have the one-child policy. So in 20 years' time, China will cease to be won't be as much of a world power as they are now. So that's the theory. Anyway, that's making the rounds of all the international blogs and stuff like that.
Right. So the amp hour message of the week is go out and go forth and multiply.
Right. Well, that's bad. No, because I'm all for population control.
Me too.
Anyway, let's not go there.
Maybe it'd be go forth and multiply, accumulate.
Right, with a maximum of 2, please, so we can keep so we don't overpopulate
Dave,
the planet.
That was a DSP joke. I'm sorry, that was a DSP joke.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
Joke. Bad joke.
Anyway.
Sorry. Sorry. So what about this free energy? Speaking of energy in China, this free energy thing.
Free energy rubbish. This comes about because some guy emailed me. I won't name him. I don't even know if he listens to the show, but he listens to the blog and watches the blog. And he wanted me to debunk a free energy company, and I don't even think I should name them. I don't think we'll even put the link up. Yeah. No, don't give them credit. It's Free Energy over Unity Machine. They're a US company or Canadian or something. I don't know. Might even be English. Who cares? Anyway, they've got this over Unity Machine. They've been pushing for years and years and years, and you can buy into the development they sell a development platform. You pay your $500 or something, and you get the development platform, and you get to become part of the secret development community forum. And this guy was actually a member of the forum. He's been a member for years, and he wanted me to try and debunk it, because he was saying that they've got a couple of hundred people on this forum, people meaning suckers, okay, on this forum that
Dave, tell us what you really think, please.
Yeah, that have bought into this scheme, and he said a lot of them have realised after all these years it finally doesn't work, and it's a whole heap of shit, and they've left. But he's still hanging in there, hoping that it's going to work and
someday,
all that sort of stuff. And he wanted me to debunk it, and I'm going, no, it's just not worth my effort. And it reminded me of the Richard Dawkins quote, where he, a lot of the religious fanatics want him to debate them, and his response is always, "It'll look better on your resume than mine."
Yeah.
So that's the thing. And if I try and debunk free energy, I'm giving credibility to it almost, even if I debunk it. So
I agree. It's tough not to shoot back and be like, "That's ridiculous," but it is. People know it is, and if they don't know it is, then they deserve to lose their money. Anytime I see that stuff and I see over Unity, free energy, blah blah blah, I'm just like, come on, guys. I think we've tried this conservation of energy physical law long enough to really understand it now. And usually what it ends up coming down to is so say someone creates this brilliant, it's always like flywheels or fancy permanent
it's always
magnets.
Magnets are the great. Yeah. They're the one.
How do they work? But whatever it is, and it's like, well, you can make so much money, and it's like, you know what, I am willing to afford them to take all of that money and do whatever they want with it. Kind of like EE Store. My good old friends EE Store,
right.
who I still haven't
seen.
seen.
You talked about them in the first
episode. I still haven't seen
something.
anything pop up out of the news for them. And if they're working on it, if they're doing a good job, good for them. I bet they're going to become billionaires. But I don't care. I don't want to touch it. I don't have time for it. And so that's what it comes down to when it's like free energy and blah, blah, blah. Anytime there's like a technological leap and bound, you have to kind of question why it's there. And sometimes it happens, but a lot of times it's a lot of hype. So
exactly, it's just a load of And the funny thing is the website. I won't put it up. I'll resist putting it up. But it has all the hallmarks of the classic free energy scam. It's very slick. It's got a guy, the inventor, doing a video supposedly to a big crowd of people, showing it at some conference, showing it's credible. And, and it's got all these telltale marketing signs, like it's marketing 101,
Yeah.
And it's got a step-by-step guide to how to market your free energy product. And it's just classic. And, of course, the killer and the obvious thing is that, to buy into it, you have to buy the development kit.
Of course.
You've got to send your $300 or your $500. And
well, they need to make their 30-day net payment, Dave. That's why. Geez, yeah, free energy. It's just hilarious. But no, I'm not going to touch it. So don't even bother asking me to debunk free energy stuff. People have asked many times over the last year and a half for me to do it. I can't wait for someone to figure it out, and I don't want anything to do with it until they do. That's basically, I'd say that would be my stance on it.
Yeah. And if you've got it and it works, well, freaking keep it to yourself. You don't, last thing you want is 500 people investing in it.
Yeah,
God.
that's true.
No,
Yeah.
If it really does work, whew,
That'd be an interesting study, too, to see like all the big breakthroughs and how often they had group investment, right? Because I would think that sometimes the group mentality would kind of squash the innovation process. If you have 500 people who all say, well, I gave you all this money, give me results right now, then maybe that's not going to work. Whereas you have a Steve Jobs out there making an Apple computer and he just does it with his own money. Well, all he has to answer to is himself and his stomach when he gets hungry.
Exactly.
That's the only thing he gets to answer to. So that'd be interesting to see that. I don't know if there's anything out there like that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Yep. Keep it to yourself. If you've got a brilliant idea, just go out and produce a product with it and show that it works. Get people to buy it. Anyway.
Well, speaking of new products, so I talk to analog IC people a lot, right? No, not a lot. Yep. That's a lie. that was an out and out lie. Right. But it's kind of cool. They're actually doing some new stuff with silicon where they're using like all these RF processes they made. We talked about RF a little earlier in the episode, but they got this really fast silicon. All these like optimized processes, and then someone one day, their brilliant idea was, well, why don't we just make everything out of this stuff? So it's like, oh, okay. So we're actually going to see a lot of faster parts coming out. I don't know if you'd heard about that at all.
Oh, I always get some news item that IBM have come out with the world's fastest transistor or the world's fastest switch-in circuit or something, and it's like, they aren't real parts that you can buy. It's more of the research kind of level. But
it's always the kind of interesting stuff where it's like a mature innovation, so that it gets, and then it's kind of ramping up. So now this RF process, it started out very exotic, right? It's like gallium arsenide or whatever. I mean, that's not that exotic anymore, but it's some kind of exotic element right now. But as that gets spread out, it's more common. It gets pushed into every product, and now everybody gets to benefit from it. So we'll see op amps with like hundreds of megahertz of bandwidth and stuff like that. So I love that stuff. I think that's cool. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about any specific parts, but I just think it's cool if people don't know about it. Go out and ask people about it or look up for articles. They're kind of pushing that in. It's definitely like 2 or 3 big vendors are doing that right now. So
that
I like it.
Reminds me actually, Cole's doco. He's actually filmed in a fab here in Sydney. Australia's only silicon fab is actually one of these exotic. I think I don't quote me, it's like silicon on sapphire or sapphire on silicon or some sort of exotic process that's used in satellite,
That
it's all like those real RF
rad hard
kind of, radiation hardened, extreme bandwidth sort of, amplifiers and stuff like that.
Badass, that's what it's called.
Real badass stuff. Yeah, and he's shot inside that lab, so that'll be in the doco. He's interviewed people from there and stuff like that, so that'll all be part of the doco. So you might
that's great.
See inside one of those niche exotic manufacturing plants. So
I wonder if that's going to
be cool.
I wonder if that's going to because they are like more exotic materials, if that's going to kind of exacerbate the problem right now that they're seeing with, rare earth stuff. Like China backed down on the not exporting to Japan anymore, which is good.
Oh, did they? Oh, right.
They backed down on that. So that's good. But there's going to be, anytime there's a valuable item, people are going to be tussling over it, right? So but I just wonder if it gets like really widespread, where like everybody needs yttrium now, right? Because yttrium is one of the ones that gets embedded, I think, in high end or fast semiconductors, right? Well, then what? And then we can't get it anymore. So
and then wars start. Yeah,
and then wars start. Exactly right. Yeah,
maybe the wars of the 22nd century will be fought over exotic materials instead of oil. Because the oil will be gone, and then they'll have to fight over something else, I guess. Right?
Yeah. Well, then they'll fight over algae or whatever's next, right?
Right?
No, I want that algae.
Oh, dear.
It's delicious.
Anyway, you wanted to know if people say 0.001 microfarads or 1 nanofarad.
This is not a 555 thing. This is not another survey going crazy thing. I had this on there a couple weeks now, but I hardly ever see it as nanofarad. But you see it pop up once in a while, and I just don't get why that ever happened.
It's the great nanofarad debate. This was before you were itching your daddy's pants. Young kiddies out there, okay? Yeah, it's the great... There never used to be a nanofarad.
Yeah, I don't
It
why.
was just... There were microfarads and there were picofarads, and that was it. Okay? And the history is convoluted. I'm not even going to try and explain it, but I don't even know if I can, but I've read there's been many articles on it over the decades of people trying to explain why and is the nanofarad a good thing. I can remember Silicon Chip magazine back in the 90s or something. They used to, I think they used to always use, they used microfarads or picofarads, and they had this big debate with the readers whether or not they should switch to nanofarads, or should we switch to nanofarads? It's part of the SI unit of, SI index of units. And, of course, it's...
So it's just not worth talking about, huh?
It's not worth talking about. Use nanofarads, but I fall back into the old... Oh, so
you're one of those, Dave.
I started electronics 30 years ago, back when there were no nanofarads, so I'm still in the habit of saying 0.1 microfarads instead of 100 nanofarads. So,
hey, Dave, hey, can you do something for me? Yep. Repeat after me. Back in my day.
Back in my day, when I was a boy.
Yeah. That's how you got to say that. Back in my day, we didn't have nanofarads.
Back in my day, when I was a boy, you young whippersnappers didn't know about nanofarads.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway. Right.
That's good.
Yes.
I was looking up that, and I was looking up, I don't know why I thought of it today, but why are circuit boards green, right? Stupid question. Why are circuit boards green?
I think it's just the original chemical process used. The first chemicals they tried happened to be green. And
that's exactly right. Yeah, it's the glass, whatever was in there, the glass epitaxial or whatever the hell that I think I said that wrong. But whatever it was just green. And
I think it was only until the 80s or something they realized how to do other colors. They came up with a good, consistent chemical process to do the other.
Right.
Or I think, they eventually came out with blue was the next one or something, and then, you couldn't get red or black or anything like that. So it's only, late 80s probably since you've been able to get those sort of colours. And
then
back then
Dave
it was
started
fairly
using
exotic.
them everywhere. What's
and
that?
now it's like, you buy it from PCB carton. What colour would you like, sir?
Yeah.
And
you use those everywhere, right? That was in your video.
I'm a big fan of red boards.
Yeah.
Red is my favourite board colour at the moment. So, but I tend to switch a lot,
That's good.
But it's great getting the different colour solder masks. But it's all about chemical process and getting it right because they can make it, but does it turn brittle? Because back in the 70s when I was a boy, there used to be a real problem with solder mask. It would actually crack.
Oh, really?
It would. Yeah, if you've ever seen any of these old, you get an old pinball machine board from the 70s or something like that, you might often see that the solder mask sort of dries up and it looks like it, like one of those dry lake beds that's all dried up and cracked and it just all peels off and flakes off. Yeah, because they hadn't actually perfected the chemical processes back then. So that was a common problem, and it would wrinkle as well. You'd get bubbles in it and
gross,
all sorts of stuff. So so we take it for granted that we can get these nice, beautifully finished boards these days, but
and
it wasn't
cheap
always
too.
like that. So. Yeah,
that's great. That's an interesting historical note there. I mean, I'm glad that I looked that up. I mean, it was interesting to see why. I mean, I don't know. I usually don't think about that. I think it was your video that actually set that off. That I was like, why are they green? So,
right, okay.
Anyways.
But the old microfarad nanofarad debate thing. Yeah, I think it's silly to say 0.001 microfarads. It's just it's okay to say 0.1. It's okay to go 1 over. One back, 1 digit back, but not 3 digits. A lot of old timers will say 100,000 picofarads, son. And especially a lot of the very old hams, everything will be picofarads.
Oh yeah.
So so they'll go, it's 1 million picofarads. And
nice. Yeah.
That's just the way they talk. So
10 to the 12 picofarads.
Anyway, it's very interesting. So. I love it. I love the old days.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, no. I wouldn't. As I've said in one of my blogs, I wouldn't trade it for it. I wouldn't
I
trade the
say,
modern.
There wasn't any EEV blog back then, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, yes, and when I was a boy, it was all data books and no internet, sonny boy.
Yeah. I was talking to some people about that because I use a wiki sometimes for documenting, which I really like. If people don't do that, it's actually really a great way to keep track of your projects. But like you think about that, like if you're going back through old like data books and stuff like that, or lab notebooks are great to keep track of stuff. But you think about it, you're flipping through a notebook from the front to the back, and you're going through development process, right? And the first 100 pages are you trying stuff out and getting stuff wrong. Well, if you stop on page 99, on page 100, you say, oh, no, this stuff was all wrong. Here's how you really do it. And you just stop there. That's not useful anymore. So you need some kind of like historical system, or you need to read everything if it's on paper. So that's why I'm grateful. I like them. I like the wiki stuff. Yeah. Personally. There's a lot of ways to do it, but.
Yeah, absolutely. I still have an engineering notebook.
It's good for local stuff, but eventually you should get it somewhere else. Just for the historical point. But
there's so much info, though, over the years of stuff I've gone through. And these days, a lot of it's on Post-it notes. I've got one right in front of me at the moment. I've got a circuit on a Post-it note, and it'll sit there for probably a month. It depends on how naggy the wife is about cleaning the desk here. But, they eventually get tossed out, all these Post-it notes. And that's my entire design process is on these Post-it and sticky notes. I don't know. Yeah. Are they called Post-it notes in the US?
Yeah, Post-it notes.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's a brand. I think that's a brand, 3M trademark 3M, or something. Yeah. Anyway,
the last of our time, I wanted to ask you about spice stuff.
Go for it.
I think we've talked about spice before on here, and I remember you being not very keen on it.
It has its place. People try and do everything in it, and think it's the holy grail, and that's just wrong.
No, well, I've been working on transformer design, and that's kind of I've kind of run into a couple problems with it, just because a lot of them are kind of dodgy on like where the like how you kind of spec a transformer and leakage inductance and all that other crazy stuff in there. Do you ever? I mean, you said you don't usually do transformer stuff, but do you ever use spice at all?
No, it's just not. I use LT spice occasionally if I need to. If I I think there's a high likelihood that's not going to work, or it's not going to work the way I expect, I'll simulate it first. But I generally won't go to too much effort. I certainly won't go into the real nitty-gritty detail of getting every parameter correct and stuff like that. I'll just, if it's got a generic part in the library, I'll throw it in just to see that the topology generally does what I want. And
I guess that was kind of my question. Like, where do you really stop? Like when you
that's
go
where
get out
I stop. If I have to go in and tweak the actual parameters for those parts, like at a really deep. At a model level, then that's where I stop. I've gone too far. The circuits I'm doing it's not that I don't want to do it. It's just that the stuff I'm working on doesn't warrant that. So, I just want to make sure a top level topology is not going to oscillate or do something, or it's just going to work. Or
that's kind of my question, because with when you start getting into like L's and C's and like all the AC characteristics, that's kind of the stuff where I'm real weak on. I mean, like a lot of the DC stuff,
same here,
It's still difficult, but you can work it out on paper relatively easy, or a whiteboard or whatever. Not easy, but you can work it out. Currents are moving wherever. Mm-hmm. But when you start getting into like the sine J omega kind of stuff, it's like I think Mr. Computer's better at that than I am.
Yeah, Mr. Computer's definitely better. If I've got 12 transistor circuit, I'm going to simulate the damn thing. It's like
Yeah, that's kind of nice for that, like for like amplifiers or something like that.
Yeah, or something like that. But like I said, that's very rare that I need to go to that sort of level. Very rare that I'm down doing a design that needs something like that. So I don't know.
Yeah,
it's everyone else is different. Yeah, like you said, if people are working on, if you're an audio amplifier, dude, then. You might find it's fantastic.
Distortions and stuff like that.
Your distortions, discrete transistor level, and you're going to care what the shot noise in that transistor is, and all. You're going to care about all sorts of stuff. So you need the correct models and the things like that.
Yeah.
So
that's usually the point. And the tough thing too is like trying to model the parasitics usually. So like and that's kind of the things that I usually end up looking at is like, oh god, like you have like a op amp, right? And maybe its bias current is high for some reason, and that actually matters in the circuit then. And you can actually put that in as a separate element, but at what point is it really, like there's sometimes that it's worth it, and other times I'm just like, oh.
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
know. It's just, yeah.
It's almost like when the cost of going out and actually plopping it down on a circuit board is high. That's when it's really worth it, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
So, or you can't afford to respin it. You've got to get it right the first time. So you better spending a day making sure that a day simulating it, making sure it's a higher likelihood your first prototype's going to work or something like that.
Yeah.
So
going back to your video from the one you just posted, the DFM, I really like that you emphasize that the time up front, because I wish someone would have told me that my first couple boards, just like get it right, double, triple, quadruple check it, because.
Yep.
You are going to get it wrong no matter what.
Oh, yeah. You're going to goof it up. And having that going to the effort of actually producing a spreadsheet with your bill of materials, sure, your CAD program spits out a bomb, but it doesn't have the manufacturer's part numbers. It doesn't have alternatives. It doesn't have your stock levels and prices and having
Woz
that
was talking about that on Adafruit on the Ask an Engineer thing. She was mentioning that too, and that was interesting. That was like the same week you guys brought it up. So that's double plus good for that.
Excellent. Well, that's about time we have for today's amp hour. I think we're up.
I think we got through a pretty good chunk. We even added stuff in.
Oh, okay. Well, because I think we spent the first 20 minutes talking about something that wasn't even on the list. I think we got caught up in something else. I can't even remember what we spoke about at the start of the show.
Boy, you old, man. You are old. I can't remember either. That's the other thing. I have no idea.
God, it's crazy. Anyway.
And actually, we should tell people we have two potential segments coming up next week that we're thinking about. We don't have to tell them what it is, but just check back next week.
Yes, please. But don't get all hyped up about it. It's not that exciting. It's not like we're giving away an oscilloscope or something.
It is the most exciting. No, you're right. It's not that exciting.
No, right. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yep. We'll see you next week.
Enjoy your car ride or your bike ride or your dog walk, whatever it is you're listening to. See ya.